Your body weighs half a ton, the jet is screaming past 600 miles an hour, and the ground is just 500 feet below you. One mistake and you're gone. This isn't a video game, this is the A-18 Super Hornet, and you're about to sit inside the cockpit. We're not just talking about this legendary fighter jet, we're strapping in, we're firing up those twin engines, and we're taking you through an actual high-performance demonstration that'll show you exactly what this beast, the Rhino as pilots call it, is truly capable of. What you're about to see is the cutting edge of naval aviation, the technology that protects carrier strike groups, the aircraft that's seen combat from Iraq to Afghanistan to the South China Sea, and trust me, by the end of this you'll understand why pilots say there's nothing else like it in the world. So lock in because we're going full throttle. This is inside the cockpit. Alright, let's dive right in. When you first climb into the cockpit of an F/A-18 Super Hornet, the first thing that hits you is the screens. Everywhere you look there are digital displays. This isn't your grandfather's fighter jet with analog gauges and spinning needles. Everything here is digital, everything is high definition, and everything is designed for split-second decision-making. Right in front of the pilot you've got 3 main multifunction displays or MFDs. Each screen is about 6 by 8 inches. On these screens the pilot can see aircraft speed, altitude, fuel levels, weapon status, radar information, literally everything they need to know, and here's the cool part. With just one button press the pilot can completely reconfigure what each display shows. In the center of the cockpit you've got a large primary flight display, or PFD. This shows the pilot the aircraft's attitude, heading, airspeed, and altitude, basically everything you need to keep this bird in the air. Right next to it is the tactical display which shows radar information, threats, and the position of other aircraft in the area. Oh, and here's something really cool. The pilot's helmet has a built-in heads-up display, or HUD. This means critical information is projected right onto the windscreen in front of them so the pilot doesn't have to keep looking down at instruments. Speed, altitude, weapon status, it's all right there in their field of view, and in combat this is an absolute game changer. Now let's talk about how you actually fly this thing. In the pilot's right hand you've got the control stick, also called a side stick controller, and this is what the pilot uses to pitch and roll the aircraft. But here's what's interesting, this stick barely moves because it's pressure sensitive, so it's not about how far you move the stick, it's about how much force you apply to it. On top of the stick you've got the weapon release button, the trigger for the gun, and several switches that let the pilot control the entire weapon system without ever taking their hand off the stick. This concept is called HOTAS, hands on throttle and stick, and it's all about keeping the pilot's hands where they need to be during critical moments. In the left hand you've got dual throttle levers, and why dual? Because the Super Hornet has 2 powerful F414 engines and each one can be controlled independently. These throttles also have multiple buttons and switches on them, so the pilot can change radio frequencies, activate sensors, deploy countermeasures, all without moving their hands from the throttles. Down at the pilot's feet are the rudder pedals which control the aircraft's yaw, which is basically turning the nose left and right, and these are especially crucial during landing. At the top of the pedals you've got the brakes which are used after touchdown on the runway. Before any airshow demonstration there's a whole lot that has to happen. You don't just hop in the jet and fire up the engines, so let me walk you through the steps. First, even before climbing into the cockpit, the pilot does a complete walk around of the aircraft. This is called the pre-flight inspection where they're checking the landing gear, making sure all the control surfaces, the ailerons, elevator, and rudder are moving freely, and they're checking that external fuel tanks and any weapons are properly mounted and secured. Then once they're strapped into the cockpit the real checklist begins. The pilot starts by checking that all the switches are in the proper positions, then they begin activating systems one by one, electrical systems, hydraulic systems, flight control systems, everything gets checked and double-checked. The engine start process is pretty fascinating. The F/A-18 has an auxiliary power unit that starts first and then that helps start the main engines. When those engines fire up the whole aircraft comes alive, the displays light up, systems come online, and the cockpit fills with this deep, powerful hum. Then the pilot checks all the flight instruments, communication radios, navigation systems, and weapons systems, this whole process takes about 15 to 20 minutes because there are no shortcuts here. Safety is the #1 priority every single time. Alright, now we get to the real action. After getting clearance from the tower, the pilot taxis the aircraft to the beginning of the runway. This Super Hornet weighs about 50,000 pounds when fully loaded, but those two engines produce a combined 44,000 pounds of thrust, so this beast has some serious power. Once lined up on the runway, the pilot does one final check. Control surfaces free and working? Engine parameters normal? Flight controls responsive? When everything's green, the pilot calls the tower, ready for takeoff. The moment they get the green light, the pilot smoothly pushes the throttles forward, first to military power, then if needed they engage the afterburners. When those afterburners kick in, the whole aircraft just jumps forward. The acceleration is incredible, we're talking 0 to 150 miles per hour in just a few seconds. As they're rolling down the runway and the speed reaches rotation speed, the pilot gently pulls back on the stick, and that's when the nose lifts and the Super Hornet launches into the sky. From the start of the takeoff roll to being airborne takes only about 10 to 12 seconds. That's the power of a carrier-capable aircraft. Once airborne, the pilot retracts the landing gear, brings up the flaps, and climbs to demonstration altitude. Most demonstrations happen between 1,500 and 3,000 feet, which gives the crowd a perfect view of all the maneuvers. Now we get to the absolutely jaw-dropping aerial display. The first maneuver is usually a high-speed pass where the pilot accelerates the aircraft to about 500 to 600 knots, then passes low in front of the crowd. At this speed, the sound arrives with a delay, so you see the aircraft first, and then you hear that thunderous roar wash over you. It's incredible. Next up are the vertical maneuvers where the pilot points the aircraft straight up toward the sky and climbs vertically. This is called an unrestricted climb. When the aircraft is climbing in an almost vertical position using full engine power, it's simply breathtaking. And from this position, the pilot can do multiple variations. Sometimes they'll roll while climbing, sometimes they'll pull back suddenly at the top. One popular maneuver is the tail slide, where the pilot takes the aircraft to a vertical position and bleeds off the speed to almost 0. For just a moment, the aircraft literally stops midair, then starts falling tail first. Then the pilot recovers back to normal flight, and this maneuver demonstrates the aircraft's incredible flight control system. The knife edge pass is another spectacular move where the pilot rolls the aircraft to a 90-degree bank angle, so the wings are vertical, and then flies past the crowd, maintaining this position. In this orientation, the aircraft isn't flying in the normal sense. The pilot is using rudder and thrust to maintain control. It looks impossible, but there it is. In high G turns, the pilot demonstrates the aircraft's maneuverability by pulling sharp turns at 7 to 9 gs. That's 7 to 9 times the force of gravity. Most people would lose consciousness at 4 or 5 gs, but fighter pilots receive special training and wear G-suits that help maintain blood circulation. The split S and Immelman turn are classic aerobatic maneuvers that show off the aircraft's energy management. In these moves, the aircraft changes altitude while changing direction, and it shows how in a combat situation a pilot can quickly reposition and change their altitude. After all the demonstration maneuvers are complete, we come to the landing phase, and this is absolutely critical because the aircraft is still moving at high speed and the pilot needs to bring it down safely. The pilot first positions the aircraft into the landing pattern, then they gradually reduce speed and lower altitude. The landing gear extends, flaps come down, and the pilot carefully aligns the aircraft with the runway centerline. On final approach, the speed is around 140 to 150 knots, and the pilot very carefully controls the descent rate. As they reach the runway, the pilot gently flares, pulling the nose up slightly, so the main landing gear touches down first. Immediately after touchdown, speed brakes deploy, throttles come back, and brakes are applied. This powerful aircraft that was screaming through the sky at 500 knots just minutes ago is now smoothly rolling down the runway and finally coming to a stop. So there you have it, folks. That's a glimpse inside the F/A-18 Super Hornet Rhino. This incredible machine represents the peak of modern aviation technology. Its powerful engines, advanced avionics, sophisticated weapon systems combined with a highly skilled pilot, this combination creates one of the most formidable fighting machines in the sky. These aircraft aren't just for airshow demonstrations, they defend aircraft carriers, protect the fleet, and serve the United States Navy day and night. Behind every flight, every mission, there are countless hours of training, dedication, and sacrifice. But wait, we're not done yet. Let's go deeper into what makes this aircraft truly special. Now let's talk about what makes the Super Hornet a true multi-role fighter, and that's its weapons capability. This aircraft can carry up to 17,750 pounds of ordnance across 11 external hardpoints. That's an incredible amount of firepower. Starting with the basics, mounted in the nose you've got the M61A2 Vulcan Cannon. This 20mm rotary cannon can fire up to 6,000 rounds per minute. That's 100 rounds every single second. In a dogfight, this weapon is absolutely devastating, and pilots can select different firing modes depending on the situation. For air-to-air combat, the Super Hornet typically carries AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles on the wingtip rails. These are heat-seeking missiles designed for close-range engagements. For longer-range threats, you've got the AIM-120 AMRAAM, Advanced Medium-Range Air-to-Air Missile, which uses active radar guidance and can engage targets beyond visual range. But remember, this is a multi-role aircraft, so it's not just about air combat. For ground attack missions, the Super Hornet can carry a variety of precision-guided munitions. We're talking about JDAM guided bombs, Paveway laser-guided bombs, AGM-88 HARM anti-radiation missiles for taking out enemy radar sites, and even the AGM-154 JSOW standoff weapon. The weapons management system is integrated right into those multifunction displays we talked about earlier. The pilot can select weapons, designate targets, and manage the entire engagement all through touchscreen interfaces and the HOTAS controls. The radar system can track multiple targets simultaneously, and the aircraft can engage multiple threats in a single pass. What's really impressive is how quickly a pilot can switch roles. One moment you're in air superiority mode tracking enemy fighters, the next moment you're dropping precision ordnance on a ground target, and the Super Hornet handles both missions seamlessly. Now you might be wondering, what does it take to actually fly one of these machines? Let me tell you, becoming an F/A-18 pilot is one of the most challenging journeys in military aviation. It all starts with earning your commission as a naval officer, then you've got to make it through aviation pre-flight indoctrination. This is where the Navy figures out if you've got what it takes mentally and physically. After that comes primary flight training, where you learn the fundamentals of flying in AT-6 Texan 2 trainer. If you make it through primary, and many don't, you move on to advanced strike training in the T-45 Goshawk. This is where things get serious because you're learning carrier operations, formation flying, and air combat maneuvers. You're doing arrested landings on actual carriers, and let me tell you, landing on a moving ship in the middle of the ocean is one of the most demanding things a pilot can do. After earning your wings, you finally get to the Fleet Replacement Squadron, where you transition to the actual F/A-18. This training takes about 6 months and covers everything from basic aircraft systems to advanced tactics. You're learning how to employ weapons, how to survive in combat, how to work as part of a strike package with other aircraft. But the training doesn't stop there. Even experienced Super Hornet pilots are constantly training because the threats are always evolving and the tactics are always changing. They're doing simulator training, they're doing live fire exercises, they're participating in large-scale exercises like Red Flag, where they face off against aggressor squadrons that simulate enemy tactics. And here's something most people don't realize: Super Hornet pilots aren't just flying, they're also spending hours in mission planning, studying threat systems, reviewing tactics, maintaining their physical fitness, because those high-G maneuvers we talked about earlier, they take a serious toll on your body. The G-suit helps, but you still need tremendous core strength and specific breathing techniques to avoid G-induced loss of consciousness. Let's talk about one of the most unique aspects of the F/A-18, and that's carrier operations. Unlike Air Force fighters that operate from long runways on land, the Super Hornet has to take off and land on a ship that's only about 1,000 feet long and is moving through the ocean. For takeoff, carrier-based Super Hornets use a catapult system. The aircraft is attached to a shuttle on the catapult track, and in just 2 seconds you go from 0 to about 165 miles per hour. The acceleration is absolutely violent. Pilots describe it as being kicked in the back by a mule, and it takes serious training to stay focused during that moment because immediately after you're airborne you've got to fly the aircraft. But if you think catapult launches are intense, wait until you hear about carrier landings. Pilots call it a controlled crash, and that's exactly what it is. You're approaching a carrier deck that's moving up and down with the ocean swells. You've got to maintain a precise glide slope, usually about 3.5 degrees, and you're aiming for a landing area that's only about 300 feet long. As you approach, you're following the Fresnel lens optical landing system, or the ball as pilots call it. This gives you visual guidance on whether you're too high, too low, or just right. Your landing gear is down, your tail hook is extended, and you're coming in at about 140 knots, that's over 160 miles per hour. The moment your main gear touches the deck, you're going to full military power on the engines. This is called bolting, and you're doing this because if your tail hook doesn't catch one of the arresting wires, you need to be able to take off again immediately. When that hook does catch a wire, the aircraft goes from 140 knots to 0 in about 2 seconds. The deceleration forces are tremendous, typically about 3 to 4 gs. There are 4 arresting wires stretched across the landing area, and pilots are aiming for the number 3 wire. That's considered the perfect trap. Hook the number 1 wire and you're too low. That's dangerous. Miss all the wires and you've got to bolter and come around for another attempt. Carrier operations happen day and night in all weather conditions, and night carrier landings are considered one of the most difficult things a pilot can do. You're landing on a pitching deck in complete darkness, relying on your instruments and that little ball of light to guide you in. The accident rate for carrier aviation used to be pretty high, but modern training and aircraft systems have made it much safer, though it's still inherently dangerous. The A-18 Super Hornet represents decades of innovation, countless hours of engineering, and the dedication of thousands of people, from designers to mechanics to pilots. This aircraft has been protecting American interests around the world for years and will continue to do so for decades to come. What makes it special isn't just the technology, it's the combination of a capable platform and highly trained professionals who know how to use it. Every sortie, every mission, every flight hour represents America's commitment to maintaining peace through strength. So the next time you see one of these incredible machines flying overhead, remember that inside that cockpit is a pilot who's trained for years to master this aircraft, who's ready to defend freedom at a moment's notice, and who represents the very best of naval aviation. That's what the Super Hornet is really about, not just the metal and technology, but the people who fly it and the mission they serve. If you want more breakdowns like this on cutting-edge military technology, the real capabilities behind these weapon systems, and what makes modern warfare tick, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching Defense Ninja. Stay informed, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.